You feel that? That nip in the air. The sniffles are starting. Winter is definitely on the way, folks. At this time of the year, I don't muck around. I fire up with Nature Bee's Power Pollen. It is packed with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, everything your body's screaming out for when that temperature drops. It's helped me stay sharp, healthy, and it helps me fight off that sluggish winter slump. It has been doing that for 20 years. And right now, you can grab a 6-month supply of Nature Bee's Power Pollen for $160. Plus, they're throwing in a bonus month and 2 bars of that famous pollen and honey soap. So before winter knocks on your door, click on the link in the description and get your supply of Power Pollen Nature Bee. Money back guarantee. Big thanks to Nature Bee for powering another episode of Bonafide.
In a world where voices are silenced,
Please.
one man refuses to lie down.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
He's been punted not once,
40 years they've been trying.
not twice,
You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job.
but 3 times.
You're fired.
He doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you something to think about. Welcome to the Bonafide podcast with Luke Boner. And he's not
All right, here we go.
done
Hold your ears, folks.
yet.
It's showtime.
G'day and welcome to episode 48 of the Bonafide podcast with me, Luke Boner, a number of guests and the millennials. Good to have you along. I hope you're well. Lots to talk about in this episode. Going to catch up with Leader of the Nationals, David Littleproud. He's got a lot on his mind. I want to talk to him about, is there a future of nuclear energy in this country after it's kind of fizzled out during the last election campaign? Is it still on the coalition's agenda? You bet it is. We'll talk more about it. I'm just concerned about what you do with the waste. I know that nuclear power is clean. We live in a geographically stable country and we have a shitload of uranium, the second largest deposits of uranium, and we sell it to countries that are using it for nuclear power. We don't use it here. So more on that. And should EV drivers be taxed in some way to make up for the fuel excise that they're not paying? We'll talk about that and a few other things. And Tech Talk with Trevor Long from EFTM in the Man Cave.
News updates.
Here's something that I'd love your feedback on. Once again, the debate surrounding EV scooters has come to the news headlines. You see, there are rising numbers of Queensland children who are landing in hospital with some shocking injuries. And these include brain damage following falls from e-scooters. And it sparked public health experts to call for a 16-year-old age limit in Queensland. Now, the first ever study into paediatric injuries exposes the grave dangers of Queensland being one of the only 2 states to allow under 16s to ride on scooters. And while supervision is required for 12 to 15-year-olds, many parents are unaware that they must monitor their children. The law also states that speeds must be curtailed to 25 kilometres an hour on roads, 12 kilometres an hour on pedestrian walkways. Helmets also are required, and 2 riders, that is doubling, is forbidden. See, there's been some recent research, and it was published in the Australian and New Zealand Journal of Public Health. And they investigated 176 paediatric e-scooter injuries in children and teens aged 5 to 15 years of age who attended the Sunshine Coast University Hospital in 2023-24. What they found is the findings expose a statewide problem. 14-year-olds are the most likely to end up needing medical care, and travelling without helmets and carrying a passenger is commonplace. And these findings come from lead author Matthew Clanfield, who worked at the hospital during the study period. Now, have any of you had an encounter with an EV bike or an EV scooter. What's your story? Have you got one? Have you been knocked over? Do you ride one? Do you think 16 is a fair age? And how are they going to police this? Because there are plenty of 15-year-olds, perhaps plenty of 14-year-olds that look like they're 16. So I'd love your feedback on all of this. Luke Boner, that radio guy, at gmail.com, or contact us on Facebook. Please leave a voice message. We'd love to talk to you on the podcast. So if you want, leave a contact number and we will get you on.
It's not the delivery that a lot of Australian businesses who make their money in the United States would want to see this morning. Big news out of Australia Post suspending those deliveries to the United States.
In other news, Australia Post has suspended parcel deliveries to the US on the eve of Trump's new import tariff scheme. I knew this would happen. Australia Post has temporarily halted some postage to the USA and indeed Puerto Rico, and it's effective immediately. And it'll go on until further notice. The change is a response to President Donald Trump's tariff regime and changes to custom rules for parcels. Until now, low-value packages en route to the US were subject to what's known as a de minimis treatment, which allowed parcels worth less than $800 to enter the country duty-free. Is this going to affect you? And remember, I think it's about 119 days till Christmas. I hate to say that.
Surely it would be impacting small businesses.
Oh, without a doubt.
A lot.
It'll impact a lot of people. And with Christmas, I'll say it again, 119 days at the recording of this podcast, 119 days till Christmas.
That's scary.
It is. I know, I'm sorry to do this. I was down at Kmart the other day, millennial, buying my 3-year-old grandson a birthday present. He's 3 this week. Can you believe it?
Crazy.
And Christmas decorations are out. There's Christmas trees, there's Santa, there's stockings, and there's more Christmas stuff for sale than there is Father's Day stuff, which is just around.
And Halloween, surely.
Oh, that's November. Yeah, Halloween will come.
Halloween's October.
You're right. Halloween. God, that's another topic. We'll do that.
Who are you going to dress up for Halloween?
I don't believe in it. I've told you this.
Oh, boo.
It's an American
you should dress up
tradition.
As Rod.
Yes. It's a European, Irish, pagan tradition. Dressing up, pumpkins, the whole thing is an American tradition, and I will recognize Halloween when the United States recognizes Anzac Day.
Call the fun police, why don't you?
Did you get into Halloween?
Well, I wasn't allowed to get into Halloween.
Yeah, that's your mum. Ha.
Yeah, because of Granny.
Oh,
Granny's Christian, and she used to give Mum strife for letting us participate in Halloween. So we weren't allowed to really up until, I don't know, I was like 15 or 16 and told them to get lost and I was going to do my own thing.
Could you have done the Halloween thing without telling Granny? Could you do that?
No.
Are you a granny liar?
Well, it's not Granny that I was afraid of. It was Mum.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So because your granny is a very religious woman, she thinks it's wrong because of the paganism and the ghosts and all that.
I don't know.
That's what it is.
She didn't like it and she didn't want us to do it.
I don't like it, but I've given into it. I put a sign while you were living here at the end of the driveway and it said.
I know, it was so embarrassing.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, no trick-or-treaters here.
I said, no Halloween recognised here. And the house got egged.
Yeah, so embarrassing.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, you deserved it.
Are you a Halloweener? God, can you believe we're talking about it? We're talking about Christmas already. There you are. Hey, listen, what about this? An influencer is facing 3 years jail for pole dancing on a flag. Well, it was a flag pole. It was on the Turkish national flag, which was seen doing the splits and flipping upside down. Of course, the thing went berserk on social media. The footage shows the Bosnian tourist pulling the stunt on the rooftop of the Uschair Castle in Cappadocia in Turkey. Disrespectful?
This just reminds me of that. There's a TikTok page now, Dumb Ways to Die. Dumb Ways to Die. Pole dancing on a flag in Turkey, upside down. Dumb Ways to Die.
Imagine if you did that in Iraq or Iran.
No, you couldn't.
Or in Afghanistan. You'd be shot. Here's an interesting one, and we have touched on it before, but there's, what do you call it, millennial? A trope, a relationship trope that's been normalised by boomers, that's me, and Gen X and millennials and Gen Zers screwing up their faces in disgust. Age gap relationships. Age gaps relationships have been normal when the man is older than the woman. But what about when the woman is older than the man? Is there a difference? Is this sexist? But here's another question for you listeners. What is the appropriate age gap? Now, my good friend, the owner of Century 21, Charles Tarby, his wife, that she's now his wife, she was 26 when he was 66 when they got together. They're now married. They've got 2 children. And he's happy. I've often said to him, what do you talk about? But he says that she's much older than she seems, much older than the years that she has, and they got on really well. So what is an appropriate age gap? I remember talking about this on Triple M Millennial, and I asked the question, it might have come from Jana Hocking. Maybe we can get Jana on about this. I heard that the appropriate age gap for a man and a woman is half your age plus 7. Have you heard of that formula?
I think I've heard of it before.
Where does that formula come from? Is it okay for the woman to be twice the age of her bloke? Age gap relationships.
Surely that would really only apply to people between the age of like 16 and 30.
But I can't imagine being with someone half my age, even plus 7, because what would we talk about? The wonderful thing about your mum is that we went to school together. We're the same. Oh, she's 7 months older than me, by the way. Did you know that? And your granny is a few years older, a few months older than your granddad. We have so much in common. Music, memories, old friends. What do you talk to someone about if they're half your age?
Well, I think it's very contextual. I think some people like being able to share new things with their partners. Some people don't like that everything's the same and you guys have the same history. I think it's just contextual. I think people like what they like, and, you know, if they're happy and they're consenting adults, that's all that matters.
I think someone closer to your age is a lot more comfortable, but that's just me. I don't care what you do, so long as you're happy. So long as you're happy, eh? We've got something to listen to. Let's have a listen.
I'm Mary from news.com.au, and I'm coming to the university today to find out if young people think a 10-year age gap is too much in a romantic relationship. So let's find out. Do you think a 10-year age gap is too much or fine?
At this age, I feel like it is too much.
I think it depends on the age at the time.
I'm 19.
Would you date a 29-year-old?
Hell yeah. Maybe my parents wouldn't like it very much, but...
I think maybe if you're 40 and 50, that's fine, but if you're 20 and 30, it's a bigger age gap. I think it depends on the maturity levels.
Personally, I don't like it. I think 7 is the max that you should do, and I think anything beyond that is creepy.
Well, when you're in your 20s, you've got a lot of development still to do, a lot of learning, and they're at university. Remember, what are they? Are they Gen Zers? What's the university age?
Gen Z.
They're Gen
Zs.
Z's an American word. I say Z, okay? And no Halloween. You don't know what you're doing at that age, especially if you're studying. So
I definitely think there's something to be said about, like, when you're that age, your prefrontal cortex literally hasn't fully developed yet.
Yeah.
So it's harder for you to determine like risky situations and risky people. That's not to say that you can't meet the love of your life who has a 10-year age gap at that age, but it is so contextual.
What's yours and Nathan's age gap? Is there one? Are you both the same?
1 month.
1 month?
Yeah.
What did you say? What, cortex?
Prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal cortex. See, a lot of older men would like younger women for their full frontal cortex.
Gross.
Sorry, I'm here all week. Okay, so let's hear what you had to say. Got this voice message from Dean.
Just want to say about these e-bikes and e-scooters. I was going down the local street at home up here on the Central Coast, speed limit 60 kilometres an hour, and I had a kid with no helmet on pass me, doing 60 k's an hour, over 60 kilometres an hour. They wonder why they do get killed. Anyway, he's right. We need to know who's riding them and who owns them and who give them the bikes in the first place.
Gee, that's fast. That's faster than it's...
That's too fast.
But they're not meant to go that fast. Do you reckon that's been aftermarket tweeted, that bike? They're going to change... The law is stating that speeds have got to be curtailed to 25 kilometres an hour on roads, 12 kilometres per hour on pedestrian walkways. These are with the e-scooters. They've got to be speed limited for sure.
Yeah, they have to be. But I live really close to Centennial Park, and if anyone's been to Centennial Park in Sydney before, you'll know that there's a speed limit around the whole park, and that speed limit is also enforced for bikes too. Well, it's meant to be, and I'll tell you now, every single biker in that area is going well over 30 kilometres an hour.
Yeah. Well, how do you police it? Do you get a police radar out there? And then if it's somebody who's 16, how do you identify them? There's no number plates on the e-bikes. There's no number plates on the e-scooters. And those young riders don't have driver's licenses. How do you identify them?
Well, we've got rangers that bloody patrol the streets all day. Surely they can set up a ranger at the...
Yeah, but the ranger is not allowed by law to detain them. And if there's no number plate...
Yeah, but they can follow him and issue him a ticket, surely.
Very hard to identify them, Kels. Anyway, the Queensland laws, children 12 to 15 on e-scooters have to be supervised, a 25 kilometre per hour speed limit on the road, 12 kilometres per hour speed limit on a footpath, mandatory helmets, and no doubling. So please keep your thoughts coming. Also, Nick sent us a clip. Let's have a listen.
G'day, Rodney.
G'day, Graham. How you going?
Not too bad, mate. You keeping well?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Here we go. Question 1. Which Australian gymnast won Commonwealth Games gold in 1990 and again in 1994 for his performance on the pommel horse?
Oh, it's a tough one.
Which Australian gymnast won Commonwealth Games gold in 1990 and again in 94 for his performance on the pommel horse?
India.
Okay, I think it's India.
Not India, mate. Hello, Lincoln.
Gilbert.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. You'll have a sensible answer, won't you?
Absolutely, mate. Step in the dark. India.
No, I didn't think you were that dumb. Lincoln, but clearly I was wrong. Hello, Thomas.
G'day, Graham.
Yeah, mate.
Got these bloody idiots calling up again.
But you'll have the answer. What do you think it might be?
India.
Yeah. Thomas, it's bedtime now. Off you go, okay? Off you go. 13 12 69. Hello there, Marcus.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, mate. Have you got an answer for us?
Got weeks.
India.
Marcus, grow up. Okay?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, grow up. Good on you. Oh, boy, is it going to be one of those nights? Robert, good evening.
Hello, Graham. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
Sorry, after all that nonsense, could you repeat the question,
Yeah,
please?
the question is, mate, which Australian gymnast won Commonwealth Games gold in 1990 and again in 1994 for his performance on the pommel horse?
Oh, just get my megaphone.
Wasn't even clever, mate. Not even clever.
I assume you've seen the whole clip, Luke.
Yeah, I know it very, very well, and it's been around for a long time. The presenter is Graham Gilbert, who used to do the nighttime program on 2SM in Sydney. It was a national program. And I know exactly who started that, and I know why. This is the most frustrating thing a broadcaster can say, but I can't tell you on air. I'll tell you off air, and then you can run it past the lawyers. But I know the radio guy who was still in radio that started that whole ball rolling, and I know why he started it.
How did it start? How did people catch on to it? How did people catch on to it?
It was one bloke. No, it was one bloke in radio who was a well-known prankster who had a beef against Graham Gilbert. And so he was in a telephone booth and he'd been on the drink and he heard a caller ring up the quiz and he believed that Graham was rude to this caller and her answer was India. And he said, allegedly, I've already told you the answer's not India. And so he got on and then his mate got on and then he got his other mate to come on. And then the country
It just snowballed.
It snowballed and he couldn't do the quiz and every caller just jumped on, probably not knowing why, but I know the bloke who started it. That's the story. I can't go.
Did he ever get the right answer?
I don't know.
Have you ever been trolled like that before?
When I was on air in Bathurst doing the morning program, there were a lot of university students doing theatre media and communications that would try and catch me out. They had like a list of pranks to do on this particular day. And one year it was ring me and try and catch me out. But I was on delay and I was smarter than every one of them and I caught them out. But yeah, that was the only one I can think of. You get people trying to ring you up and catch you out, but if you've been doing it for a while and you use the delay system, you should be okay.
Well, you're not very good at quizzes anyway, so...
I hate doing the quiz. Millennial, Kim Bell, the Parody Masters have sent us some more stuff to have fun with. What have they done?
Well,
we love Kim and Sean. We love Kim and Sean.
Yes, they are very, very, very talented people. We are actually going to release a video on the Facebook page next week. That is a bit of fun with a new parody they have made for us. But in the meantime, they sent us a live performance of the Man Cave song.
Here we go.
You want to listen to it?
I can't wait. Yeah, I love the boys.
Yeah.
I love the boys.
A live performance, though. How good is that?
Unbelievable. Please keep them coming. I was going to get you to teach me, and we were going to do it in real time on this podcast. I want you to have a think about it. Can we ask AI to compose a Bonafide podcast jingle? You're the whiz with all of this stuff. Put in all the information and the genre of music, country, rock, whatever it is you want. Give them an idea of what the show's about. And can you see what AI can come up with?
I guess you have to use a specific type of AI that does music.
Well, can you find
it's
it
not
and
just
do it?
any AI. Yeah, I guess so. But if the listeners want to have a crack at it, by all means, I'd love to hear what you come up with.
That's a good idea. Delegate. Kelsey, well done. You're learning. Delegate. Listeners, if you have access to AI, we want a Bonafide podcast jingle. What style of music do we want? I think
I don't know. Let the people decide.
Okay. And we'll come up with a prize because I have been in touch with the Millennial, and we've got some merchandise around the corner that we can give away to the best one. How's that sound?
Yes, the wheels are moving on
Wheels are
the
turning.
merchandise.
Wheels are turning.
But the wheels are in motion, so that's very exciting.
Okay, listeners, there's your challenge. If you have access to AI and you know what you're doing, Bonafide podcast.
The funniest jingle.
We want a jingle with lyrics, and we'll give away a prize to the best one. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Well delegated, Millennial. Coming up on episode 48 of Bonafide, Leader of the Nationals, David Littleproud. Once again, Leader of the Nationals, David Littleproud, joins us for our weekly update on world and national affairs. David, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've got to tell you, our chats are getting some traction out there.
Oh, I hope for the right reasons.
Well, I mean, it's just good to be able to talk to somebody who has an opinion on not just domestic policy, but international policy, and you say it like it is, and we really enjoy it. We've had some inquiries, and I want you to explain to me exactly what net zero means, because I was reading that Susan Lee is being pressed to hold a joint party room debate on the coalition climate policy. David Littleproud, it says, and the Queensland Liberal National Party became the latest party division to vote to dump net zero. Now, what is net zero, and why do you want to get rid of it?
Yeah, so what it is it's an international treaty that was signed through the Paris Accord, but the net zero by 2050 is the target and the mechanism of which countries have said that they will reduce their emissions. Now, that means that not every industry will be zero emissions, but there'll be some that'll obviously be able to absorb emissions and be positive in things like the environment and other elements of the economy. So it's getting back to zero carbon emissions, net zero, across your entire economy by 2050. Now, most countries around the world have now acknowledged that's impossible. The low-hanging fruit has been done. So we're trying to achieve the impossible rather than doing what's sensible. And we're not saying that we want to blow the environment up. What we want to do is make sure that we're sensible about making sure that we embrace technology, and technology has time to be embraced and created to reduce our emissions and to save the environment, because this model that Anthony Albanese is taking here in Australia, particularly on your energy grid, is an all renewables approach. There is no country of the industrial scale the size of Australia that's got an all renewables approach. In fact, a couple have tried, Portugal and Spain. They got to around 77% of their grid is renewables, and they lost their entire grid for about a week and a half because they didn't have the baseload power to be able to generate, to keep, one, the lights on, but two, when the renewable grid failed, they had to have even more capacity of baseload power to get it ramped up and started again. And so there was significant issues. So what you need is to have an energy mix, and you should be sensible about that. And a good example is actually Japan. Japan has about 25% of its grid will be nuclear energy, around 30% will be renewables, and the balance will be Australian gas and coal. They're actually going to burn it in Japan. They're going to capture the carbon, and they're going to put that carbon on a boat. They're either going to put it down underneath the ocean about 1.5 kilometres off Malaysia, or even back here in the Timor Sea. They can do that because they believe that's the cheapest, most affordable energy that does the right thing by the environment. That's simply what the decision that in my home state we took, is that we just want to be sensible, because what you're experiencing at the moment is what's going to catch up with this all renewables approach is, one, economics, and two, physics. Economics is already catching up with us. You'll be experiencing that every quarter when you open up your energy bill. You should see Albanese and Bowen's face on that energy bill. And to give you just one perfect example of that, there's a renewable energy zone near Orange, the Arana West Renewable Energy Zone. It was to cost $600 million for 3 gigawatts of power to go into the grid. It's now going to cost $5.5 billion. That's about $18 billion per megawatt hour. That is a lot of money when nuclear is about 10. So what we're saying is, let's just have a mix. Let's not put all our energy eggs in one basket. Let's get this right and have the most affordable grid that has a technology agnostic approach to it. And then when you look at other things in other sectors, technology is going to find its way in reducing emissions in the transport sector. They're looking at that even in agriculture, but we shouldn't be forcing agriculture to bear the burden of renewable energy, tearing up their productivity and tearing up your food security. So we can do sensible things. But what we've got to do is understand there's a difference between adaptation and mitigation. We've gone down a model of mitigating, thinking that if we get to net zero, we will reduce total world emissions by probably just over 1%, which won't make a difference. What we've got to make sure is we adapt, and we also make sure our economy and our environment is adapting with it. And that's where we think we should put more of our focus. And that's with things like carbon capture storage on coal and gas. That's like nuclear energy, and that's about doing sensible things in agriculture.
Let's move on to nuclear energy, because the coalition at the last election had us turning more towards nuclear energy as a policy, and so it kind of quickly dumped it. We didn't hear much about it during the campaign, and I was really disappointed that debate didn't continue, because I was really looking forward to learning and having a national debate. So is Australia going nuclear a possibility? And if so, how far away are we?
Yeah, well, we are. And that's one of the 4 policies why the Nationals left the coalition. We wanted to make sure that we didn't walk away from having nuclear energy as an option here in this country. Nearly every other OECD country in the world has nuclear energy. In fact, at the last COP meeting, which is an environmental meeting, most of them agreed to increase nuclear energy output by more than 3 times because they see it as a baseload, reliable source of energy. So that's why we left, and we said we want to make sure as a coalition that this is still on the table. Now, whether our policy is one that will own the Australian people, will own them, it may be as simple as we'll open up the moratorium, take it off, let the market decide, and limit them to close proximities where existing coal-fired power stations are. So you've got an existing water entitlement to be able to be used, or and you've got the transmission lines there ready to go. That would be sensible, smart, in just opening up the options and letting the market decide. Because at the moment, Chris Bowen says renewables are the cheapest. But let me just say, what he's not talking about is, one, the transmission lines that he's paying to plug all these things in. But he's also got this thing called the Capacity Investment Scheme. Now, this little chestnut, it actually underwrites the price and the return that these big multinational renewable energy companies come to Australia and build these wind factories with. And so if they're so cheap, they're so affordable, why do we need to subsidise them? And we're talking tens of billions of dollars. And Chris Bowen says they're the cheapest, but he has to subsidise them. Why don't we open it up, say, well, let's talk about what our grid should look like, a mix in our grid that we should have. What will be the most affordable? What will do the best thing in terms of keeping the lights on, keeping industry going, and go from there, not have to subsidise.
Do you know what I'd like to learn? If you were going to run a city, let's say for argument's sake, the size of Sydney, completely on nuclear power, how much nuclear waste does that represent? Because I have no idea. Is it a couple of Olympic swimming pools? Is it a swimming pool? Is it a shoebox? I honestly have no idea. How much nuclear waste is created by running a city the size of Sydney?
Yeah, and look, I don't have the number on you because I don't know how much energy that would need to be created. But
you can see where I'm going.
Exactly. And this is the thing, is that I think at the last election, if anything with our nuclear policy, safety wasn't an issue. And I think we took away the scare campaign of where they were going to go, because we took the sensible option of where they should go is close to existing transmission lines and generation points. So the waste was insignificant. It's not huge. We're going to have to deal with nuclear waste anyway. We've got orders for Virginia-class submarines, and we're going to have to do something with that. And there are new technologies, even Australian companies that are looking to reprocess the waste, and that have started here in Australia trying to do that. So again, technology is solving those issues, but we do have a pretty big dry, empty continent in the middle for the small amounts that we will need for our nuclear subs as well as civil waste. We do have already a reactor at Lucas Heights in Sydney. We use for medical isotopes. We need to store those wastes somewhere in this country, and that's where we looked at a place called Kimber in South Australia. It fell through, but they're looking at other places that we're going to have to put our nuclear waste from Medicine, from Lucas Heights. And if we have a civil industry, that makes sense to put it exactly where that is and where the submarine waste will go.
Where does the Lucas Heights waste go now?
From my understanding, it's processed and then comes back, and that's where they're looking to find a location. And that Kimber was one of them, along with all our medical isotopes. That's where they wanted it all to go, is to a sort of remote facility. And in fact, they looked at it one in my electorate before in 2016 at Inglewood near Gundawindi. And I sat and listened to what ANSTO had to say. And effectively, it's reprocessed to the stage where if the waste in the back of the 40-gallon drum fell off the back of the truck, you wouldn't even have to put a hazmat suit on. You put it back in, you seal it back up, go and put it in a shed, a great big dirty shed out at Inglewood. And the other stuff that comes back from France reprocessed is in a steel container that an F-18 couldn't pierce. So, that was the sort of stuff and the safety that was being done to process and to make sure that when we do store the waste, it is actually stored safely for everybody to have comfort around.
Well, I tell you what, I wonder if Lauren could give Kelsey the name of one or two of these companies that are working on breaking down nuclear waste and treating it, because I'd love to talk to them about the technology. I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, and Nuclear Australia, they're a group out there, young Will Shackleton. He's very much had pushed nuclear energy for a long time, very passionate about it, very well knowledged in it. And they have become much of the face
Nuclear
that we
Australia.
saw.
All right.
Well, nuclear energy.
I've spoken to him before. Very impressive. We'll try and get hold of him because I just like to learn. I want to become educated on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of leading on, and I speak regularly with James Ward. He's the content director with drive.com.au. And here's the question. Should EV owners have to pay a tax because they're using our roads, but they're avoiding the fuel excise? Your thoughts?
Yeah, you've got to pay something. They're having an impact on our roads. I just think this is fairness. The reality is that if you're going to take a vehicle out and to the size of an EV, it's going to have an impact on the road and the use of that road. They have to be paid for. came into effect was to collect that through the fuel, through when you purchase fuel. And that got to the essence of effectively the more fuel you used, the more the road you used, so you paid more. So I just think that it's just, I know some of these EV owners have taken, I think it was the New South Wales government, to court, to the High Court over it, about being charged a road user charge. But ultimately, these are roads that drive our economy, drive our safety, get you to a hospital, get your kids to school. Everyone's got to pay their part. And we as legislators have to evolve with technology. Technology's evolved with EV. So it's only right that they pay some sort of contribution to maintaining those roads. Otherwise, it's left to fewer. Ultimately, what happens is that if we can't collect it through fuel, we'll actually have to go and create another mechanism. I think the reality is if you're going to use something, you've got to pay for the use of it. Nothing in life is free, and nor are our roads.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think you're right. You have to pay something. And how would you monitor it? You'd get your car registered once a year, and part of that registration is a check on your how many kilometres you've travelled and tax those kilometres, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I think the Boffins are working through what would be a mechanism that would collect something from those that have EVs. And I think it's far wiser for these EV groups, I think, to be constructive and part of the solution, rather than have government at some point go, well, we'll make the decision and we'll just actually say this is what you're going to pay, because that'll be the easiest way for us to collect it, whether it's fair or not, and this is what you're going to do. So I think that there are mechanisms and there's ways that are being looked at, and I just think it'd be smarter for these EV groups to get behind it than to resist it.
I know you've got to go and run a country in a second, so just a couple more and I'll let you go. The peace talks between Putin and Zelensky and Donald Trump, are you optimistic? Do you think something good will come out of all of this? Because I guess both Putin and Zelensky don't want to lose face, and it's a real difficult one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the issue, is that Putin, as the aggressor, as he is the one that has initiated the act of war on people of Ukraine, and having looked at him for some decades now, he's not a man that wants to walk away having not taken something. I think it's important, and what I was a little concerned about was that Trump was trying to cut deals and negotiations with Putin without Zelensky at the table. It's Zelensky who represents the people of Ukraine and their sovereignty. They are the ones that have been wronged. Putin was the one that crossed the border and enacted an act of war on the people of Ukraine. The borders should be respected. Now, if Zelensky gets to a point where he has a threshold question to answer around, well, is it best to some parts to hand over, or around the NATO issue, which is one of the key drivers of why Putin crossed the border, because he feared that Ukraine was going to become a member of NATO. So if they get to those points and junctures, but that's for Zelensky to determine. He is the rightful representative of the people of Ukraine, and that's a threshold question only he can answer. But I think it is good that Donald Trump has taken the initiative and used his influence with Putin to bring them to the table. I fear that Zelensky's going to have to give up something to get the guns laid down.
Yeah, all right. But you sound quietly optimistic, but God, anything can happen at any tick of the clock. It's a tricky one. Quickly before you go, I read this the other day. I thought I'd throw this in. I don't know who the Totality Australian research Eliza Owen is, but there is a plan to tax spare bedrooms. Have you heard of this? It's been floated. Yeah. It's been floated to help fix the housing supply and affordability crisis crippling Australia. The new research has shown there is a mismatch when it comes to the number of residents living in a property versus the amount of bedrooms inside. A study has showed just over 60% of houses are lived in by one or two people. Is this serious? This kind of reminds me, remember the old window tax in England?
Well, I'll give you another crazy one on the Gold Coast now. They've got a view tax. The council there is taxing the residents of high-rises a higher rate depending on how high you are on the high-rise.
A view tax?
I would have thought you paid a higher price when you bought the thing to have the amenity of a view. But anyway, the Gold Coast City Council's tapping in on that one. But these are the sort of crazy things that happen when governments of all levels run out of your money. They come back asking for more of your money to pay and to be able to spend more of your money. And these sort of things are just crazy. If you want to fix the housing crisis, It's about supply. And supply and the things that we can fix at a federal level is first and foremost immigration, making sure that we have a proper immigration model that doesn't bring in too many people. But secondly, the people we bring in are the ones that we need. They have the skills that might be able to help build supply, like electricians, builders, roofers, tilers, plumbers, that can add to the workforce to build homes. It's then up to state and local government who have dropped the ball on this to get on with the planning pen and actually increase supply by either lifting housing density rates or developing more land without the bureaucratic red tape, rather than finding ways to taxing people. I mean, that's nonsense. That's the lazy politician way, is to tax rather than to address the core issue, which is supply. And state governments and local governments can fix supply. They have the planning pen. They should get on with it and put away the taxation pen.
Can you imagine people knocking on your door saying, hello, it's the bedroom tax people. How many people live here and how many bedrooms have you got? Can you imagine that?
I mean, this is the insanity that some local and state governments have got to. They become that desperate. But again, you've got to get back to fixing the fundamentals. Fundamentals is supply. How do you fix supply? Well, you make sure it's easier and quicker to open up the supply, and then you need the workforce to build the. It's not rocket science, and that's what they should stick to rather than looking for other unique and not even quirky, but just insane ways to try and to gain more of your money.
David Littleproud, always good to talk. What's on your agenda this week?
Parliament for the next 2 weeks, so stuck in Canberra, living the dream.
Oh, God. Eh?
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be here. Many people try to get in, so you shouldn't. You should never shirk it.
Should politicians get paid more? If we paid politicians more, would we get better candidates?
No, I think we got it about right, to be honest. We live a pretty good lifestyle, and so I think there's a big enough incentive there for people to come into it. And I think you go too much higher. I don't know whether I think there's a tipping point where it goes too far. And there's a tipping point if you take it too less, you just get people go, well, I'm not interested.
The last thing you want is someone to enter politics because of the money. You want to enter politics because you believe that you can contribute to make this place better. But if you, but then there's the old saying, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yeah, but we're not getting paid peanuts. We're getting a good wage that I think remunerates us properly.
All right.
To be honest, I think we've got it about right.
You've got things to do. I thank you so much. Thank Lauren very much for helping us do this. We thoroughly enjoy talking to you regularly and hope to get you back soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Leader of the Nats, David Littleproud. Coming up here on Bonafide, Tech Talk with Trevor Long. Okay. Time for Tech Talk. He doesn't fucking stop interrupting me. Time for Tech Talk with the guru, Trevor Long from EFTM, Everything for the Man. G'day, brother.
Lukey boy, good morning.
Hey, listen, thanks a lot. Lots of feedback to get your way this morning. And I've got some hot topics here that you've sent us, which I'm keen to get into. But I sent you last week something that I found on the internet. I think I know what's happened is I was trying to do some research on car trackers, little devices you stick to your car and if it gets stolen, you know where it is, because I wanted to talk to James Ward about it. It was going to be one of our topics. Well, since then, I have been inundated on Facebook with car tracking devices. So I sent you one. I said, what do you think of this, Trevor? Because it was about the size of a 20-cent piece. It was magnetized. It said no ongoing fees, alerts possible, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, that looks all right. And you said, don't touch it. It's a scam. One, how did you know it was a scam? But two, I want a car tracker for mine and Nikki's car, but I don't want to have to pay an ongoing fee. Trevor, help.
The other thing I said to you, I think at the time was, did you see that on Facebook?
I
knew where you'd seen it as well. Because you are like the older demographic, just sitting on Facebook, just scrolling away. And that's where everyone gets getting scammed.
No. I don't scroll for gossip or for. I have a group of friends in the media and we share stories.
Sure you
Incorrect, do. Luke. Incorrect.
Oh, geez, where did that voice come from?
I'm just jumping in here because Luke has downloaded viruses on his computer 2 times, and the last time he did it was because he clicked on an article on Facebook that apparently said Guppy Wahlberg apologizes to Caroline Levitt, and he thought it was true. How?
Right. You've got to stop using Facebook, other than if it's your mates in your message group, go for your life.
Kelsey's boy wonder, who was a computer whiz, he said, if there's a story on Facebook you think that's interesting, separately Google the headline. Don't click on the link on Facebook.
Correct.
So that's what I do now.
If you think it's interesting. So the reason I knew it was a scam straight up is because it talked about being the size of a 20-cent piece. Well, that's an Apple AirTag, right? An Apple AirTag is the size of a 20-cent piece. There's Google ones as well. And I'm thinking, what is this product? And they just made so many claims that a product that size simply couldn't do. And the reason is because to track of anything, you either need a large battery, you need a SIM card in it, you need a lot of things. Or if you're just claiming it's an item that helps you locate things, then yeah, it could be the size of a 20-cent piece and it's an Apple AirTag, but it doesn't have constant monitoring. So the thing is, if you just wanted to know broadly where your vehicle is at any time and get some updates on its location, then I would just tell you to get an Apple AirTag, or in your case, because you're an Android guy, there's Android-based trackers as well. But the critical thing here is they do not tell you in real time where a thing is. They do not. They require a phone of some sort, some random person to walk past them for it to update its location, because the device itself doesn't have the ability to transmit. It just kind of pushes out a Bluetooth signal. And so an Apple AirTag, so for example, I got an Apple AirTag in my car. While I know where it is, that's only because if I park it at a shopping centre, and I didn't have my phone, let's just assume, if there's enough people that walk past a car at a shopping centre, 50% of them are going to have an iPhone, which means 50% of people are inherently connecting to my AirTag and updating my location for me anonymously and simply. So that's how AirTags work. But if your car is taken to Timbuktu and there's no iPhones anywhere near it, you're not going to know where your car is.
Okay.
You'll get a sense of where it went along the way, maybe, but you're not going to have real-time location. If you want real-time tracking of something, you can't be a cheapskate. You need to have ongoing costs. So again, in my car, I've got a dash cam, and it's a dash cam with a SIM card in it, and I pay $200 a year for a data plan, and that data plan means that I can open my phone, I can look at the app, and I can see exactly where the car is. In fact, I can live stream the front camera and rear camera from my car.
Can you do it when you're overseas?
I can do it from anywhere, yeah. Because the car's just connected to the internet, basically.
Well,
so
I've got a dash cam.
I can be anywhere.
I've got a camera that goes out the front and one out the back. Both have 180 degrees. And
I'm tipping you didn't buy one that has 4G capabilities.
No, why didn't I check with you first?
Because you're a crazy man. And that would have been the simple thing to do. Because I would have asked you, what are the features you want? And you would have told me at the time, I want to track my car. I want to know where it is.
Yeah.
Look, they're not cheap. You can buy a fantastic dash cam for $200, $300, $400. You need to then make some beautiful dash cams. But the one I bought was $1,500 because it's high quality. It's got 4G connectivity. You've got to pay for quality. Unfortunately, these are features, mate. So, yeah, that's the downside.
If you have this whiz-bangery, should you get cheaper insurance premiums then?
Good question. In theory, yes, but the reason they don't is the same reason they don't offer you insurance discounts if you've got security cameras at home. The insurance company can't guarantee that it's connected. So let's be clear, if you're going to steal my car, unplug the dash cam. First thing you do. What you got to do is make that difficult. So I've wired mine in such a way that it's actually quite difficult to unplug, but you could just still get a pair of pliers and cut the wire. So there's no guarantee that it's always working. There's no guarantee that the battery on the camera hasn't died. There's no guarantee that I've updated the mobile plan for the SIM card. The insurance company doesn't have any way of validating all that stuff. So basically that's why they don't offer those kind of discounts.
All right. Yeah, interesting stuff. Trevor, we've had a couple of people email us with topics they wanted you to talk about.
Sure.
This is one from Kevin. He sent us a current affair clip, and you were actually on the episode. Let's have a quick listen.
Now you see it, but this phone won't.
And it will literally stop that problem of young boys and young girls sharing photos that they shouldn't.
This is baked into the operating system to make sure that it cannot be removed. You know, YouTube unhackable, Reddit unhackable.
Connection or protection? How do we keep our kids safe from harm when using mobile phones? Well, a new smartphone promises to be nudity incompatible. Check this out. I've just Googled naked body and artificial intelligence has immediately blocked the search results. And if I go to take a photo of this semi-nude image, the camera automatically deactivates.
They'll see it for a split second, but as the phone detects what they're seeing, nudity in this case, it'll just blank out the screen.
Naked body.
What a great voice. What an unbelievable opinion that person has.
Give yourself a rap. Explain that story. What's going on there?
So this is a brand new phone on the market called the HMD Fuse. Now, HMD is not a new mobile phone company. They've been around for years. They were making the Nokia branded smartphones for many years, but they've just kind of gone, we're going to create our own phones under our own brand for the last 3 or 4 years. Anyway, this one is designed for parents to give to kids, and it has parental controls built in at the operating system level. So it's not an app that you install. It's literally in the operating system. And what it allows you to do is several things. Firstly, you can whitelist contacts. And this is something you can't do on a lot of phones, which means you can control who can ring your child and who your child can ring. So if your child tries to ring someone, even if it's a mate, they can't dial a phone number. It just simply won't let them call out unless you've added that contact to the phone. That's a huge win for parents. Secondly, location tracking. Thirdly, content. But most importantly, nudity. Now, it sounds ridiculous to say we want to stop kids seeing nudity, but I've got to tell you, I don't want 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds seeing accidentally naked image. But most importantly, when they get into those early teenage years, how do you implore upon your daughter and your son not to send naked pictures to their loving girlfriend or boyfriend who is also a teenager? It's very hard to convince them. So what you do is you make the phone stop them. So this phone has just a normal camera. It's a normal thing, but whether you're using Snapchat, TikTok, or the camera app itself, because it's not the physical camera doing it, it's actually the screen that's determining it. If it sees nudity, the screen will black out. And so it blacks out. And then when you move the camera away from that nudity, the screen opens up again. So basically it detects nudity and it cuts off the screen. Same thing happens if they search for pornography or nudity on the internet. While they're scrolling, if a naked picture appears on the screen blocks out. And the only way to get out of it is to either scroll past, because you can still scroll, your finger presses still work, or press a button to go back in the browser. But game changer. Unbelievable game changer. And look, it's not everyone's going to buy this phone. It's $800. But if I'm a parent of a 8, 9 or 10 or 11-year-old and you're thinking about what phone I'm going to get my kids, because a lot of parents of 8 or 9-year-olds, they want to give their kids a phone just for the Friday or the Saturday when they're going to the park or whatever. So this means you can have a phone for the kids that simply doesn't do anything. You can disable all the apps so none of them work, but all they can do is phone you or take calls from you. That's a win. And then as they get older, you might turn on certain apps like Google Chrome or email or whatever. So you as a parent, get to choose what's turned on and what's not. And then when they do get to a point of start searching the internet for things, you can stop them seeing stuff that they shouldn't see. Oh, mate, I think it's huge. I think it's a game changer.
It's amazing. But you're right, it's not cheap, but gee, what price is peace of mind, eh?
Spot on, yeah. And I should say it's after a year, it's a $26 a month subscription for that kind of blocking technology. But again, as a parent, you're going to do that for 2 or 3 years for a teenager, and then you're not going to worry about that kind of stuff. So I think it's a good investment.
Trevor Long is with us. We had another listener, Mal, wanting you to take us through the age assurance technology trial. And this is in relation to the under-16s ban of social media platforms. The concern people are having is that everyone is going to be impacted by the ban, because if you have to verify that someone is under 16, you also have to check someone is over 16. So everyone who uses social media will have to have their face scanned or their details checked, and that raises some privacy concerns, doesn't it?
It does. 2 things. Firstly, not everyone will have to have their face scanned. I'll come to that in a second. Secondly, it's more than just the social media ban. As of the end of December, there's also some government regulation that's come in which hasn't been talked about much around, let's call it essentially porn, but, inappropriate content online. So overage websites, adult websites, will need to have age verification as well, which means that in theory, if you are wanting to go to a porn website next year, you'll need to prove who you are. Now, that does not require that you prove identity documents, but it does require that these websites have some sort of age assurance technology, which brings us back to the social media ban and age assurance technology. So what's going to happen on December 10 or 11 when the social media ban kicks in is I'm going to be scrolling TikTok and nothing will change, because TikTok knows that I'm over 16, firstly, because I changed my date of birth says I'm over 16. They're not going to just believe that. They're then going to look at the content that I'm watching, the things that I've been doing, the algorithm that I've created for myself. Trust me, the content I'm looking at is nothing like what a 13-year-old's looking at. TikTok's age assurance technology will essentially look at a combination of things, including the comments you make, the way you write, the things you look at. And if they have any cause to believe that I'm in fact under 16, that's when kind of a barrier will come up. So for, I think, 80% of people, you won't notice a difference, nothing will change. But then there'll be this 10% of people who are actually under 16, they've got to go through an age assurance trial. And then there's 10% of people who are over 16, but the companies, the social media companies don't quite know if they're under 16 or over 16. So they'll put up an age assurance trial. Now that may be face recognition. So not actually confirming your face against the government database. None of that bullshit. It's just looking at your face and going, oh my God, he's an old man. You know, very quickly determining he's not 16. And of course, if they determine that you are anywhere near 16, they'll block it. And the only way through that then, if you really want to prove who you are, is some form of government ID. But the legislation states that it must not be only using government ID that companies conduct age assurance. So if you're trying to look at, separate to the social media ban under the other regulation, if you're trying to look at adult content in 2026 and the companies have any reason to believe that you're under 16 or under 18 in that case, they may put you through some age verification, which is not requiring you to hand over your ID. It's not requiring you to prove you are, and the government's not tracking you stupid conspiracy theorist people. That's not happening. The government has no log or register of who accessed what where over and above what they already do based on the metadata that's being collected by internet providers. They simply are going to use everything in their power, these companies, to determine if you're over 16 or not, because the legislation for social media ban, it requires that the social media companies do all the legwork, not the parents, not the government, just the social media companies do all the legwork to ensure that no one under 16 has an account. If you're 17, if you're 25, if you're 35, they couldn't give a shit. They don't care. They're just going to let you scroll because they don't care. They don't want to collect any more information on you. They just want to make sure that 13, 14 and 15-year-olds aren't on their platforms because they get a $50 million fine if they do.
Trevor Long, just before you go, a couple of new products that you're excited about. One of them is the retro gaming on the projector, $299. What's this?
Yeah, this is very cool. It's from a little Aussie company called Laser. And so there's a lot of these retro gaming products out there. They're like, some of them look like a Commodore 64 or an Atari, but other ones, they're just a dongle you put in your TV. But they've got all of our childhood favourite games in them. Now, sometimes they've got all the ones you know, sometimes they're not quite the ones you know. But bottom line, this projector from Laser is $300. And essentially just needs power and plug it in any room, any place. It's got little controllers and you can play all your fun games. Mate, honestly, I reckon this will be great for games night with your mates, on the drink after State of Origin, whatever you're doing. Just fire up the projector and play some fun old school games. That's a bit of fun. I love it. It'll sell like hotcakes. I think they're selling them in Big W. Okay,
it's an Australian company?
Yeah, Laser is an Australian company. It's not made in Australia. There's no manufacturing here. But, yeah, based out of Macquarie Park in Sydney, I've met the guys there. They love their gadgets and they love finding cool stuff like this and they love making it affordable.
Okay, and the $299 smartphone, you say it looks great and performs well. What's this?
Yeah, this is the Oppo A5. Look, the thing is, a $299 smartphone is not going to be as fast and snappy in performance as an iPhone or a Samsung or anything like that. And the screen's probably not going to be as bright. But, mate, the thing that Oppo do is they make beautiful-looking phones. And I reckon that is important to people because if you're having to spend a far less than the person next to you, you don't want to look like that. You don't, like it 10, 12 years ago, when you bought a $100, $200 phone, they look cheap, plastic rubbish. This thing looks really nice. It's quite an impressive looking unit. As I said, from Oppo, they make great phones. This thing, we rated it as having kind of mid-range performance. Now, mid-range performance in a smartphone should put it in the $400 to $600 price point, but this one is $299 from Oppo. So if you want to see photos of that and our full review, you can go to EFTM.com.
Okay, tell us about your podcast.
Mate, which one? Which one? Come on, the EFTM podcast is Talkback Technology. So if you've got a tech question and you want it answered, whether you're looking to buy something or you've just bought something, don't know how it works, or you're just curious about something, you can just go to EFTM.com and click on Ask Trev. I'll get you on the show and we'll have a chat. Then we do Two Blokes Talking Tech every week. We do the best movies you've never seen. We do Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. We do a private feed. Mate, I've got 6 days of podcasts available if you need them.
Unbelievable. And if you see a headline that says Whoopi Goldberg apologises to Caroline Levitt, just keep going.
Just keep scrolling. If you see anything on Facebook that isn't from one of your mates and it's not a link from one of your mates, just scroll on.
Trevor Long, scroll you later. Coming up on Bonafide with me, Luke Boner, the Millennial, Adam McDonald, the Vice Captain, and Granny Sue makes a welcome comeback. The Man Cave's next.
Stop listening to the AM dial, to the boring AM shows. Sick and tired of counting sheep, but they're talking that never flows. And stop apologising for the things you've never done. Time is short, life at night, oh, it's up to us to do a show called The Man Cave. Yeah, do a show with Adam. Thomas holds the Man Cave line. Toby Ann is a real stunt girl. And Larry Canning, golf expert. Michelle Bishop's on the phone. Every Friday morning, we'll tune into the show. It's enough to make Luke Boner believe that his ratings will take the lead. A show called Man Cave. Yeah! Ba 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 ba. Whoa! Ba 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 ba. Jim Reynolds Reverend, we all love the week at the end. But our Friday show is nearly in. It's time for us to do a show called Man Cave. Yeah! Do a show with Adam McDonald.
Time for a bit of fun, time to talk, well, some serious issues, but we also try and talk about some of the not so serious issues that need to be talked about. Adam, Vice Captain McDonald, General Manager of All Bids Auctions, good day to you.
Good morning, Skip. Beautiful day down here in Canberra. Cold, wet, windy and miserable.
Yeah, but I heard that it was T-shirt temperatures yesterday.
Oh, the last 2 days has been beautiful. The sun's been out and about, and it's just, bang, welcome back to Canberra.
We also welcome from far north Queensland, Granny Sue, back to where she belongs, the rose between two thorns. Granny Sue, come on down.
I'm here. Let's go.
Well, there's a bit to talk about, Granny Sue. We need some of your common sense. And we'll start with something that you want Adam to tell us about this very strange device that I'm looking at now, and Kelsey's put it on our Facebook page. It's an item, Adam, for you to look at. I have no idea what this is. So Adam and Granny Sue, take it away.
So what do you know about Granny?
I have no idea. I was given it by a lady that was packing up and leaving, and she said, your kids might like this. I don't know what it's for or what it's about or anything. Anyway, my son looked it up, and apparently it's got 1885 stamped on it, but other than that, I know nothing.
Well, Adam, what the hell? It's in a brown wooden box, and it looks like it's got some brass contraption in it. I would have thought maybe it's a microscope lying sideways. I'm not sure.
That's exactly what it is. So these what they call field microscopes, and if you have a good look at it, down the bottom, just above the base, there's a little rotating mirror. So back in the day, back in the late 1800s, they wouldn't power up these microscopes. They would literally rely on the sun, and the sun would glare down, bounce off the mirror and come up through the slide. So it is an early one. 1860, I'm not too sure. The box doesn't look 1860 to me. So with these sort of items, they were reproduced for decorative value. So I don't think that this one's that old. If you have a look at the box, where the picture of the box where it's open and the screws with the hinges are not that old. To me, this is a reproduction piece. It's got a couple of spare lenses. What would happen, the scientists would go out in the field with these microscopes. They would cut thin slithers of specimens, whether it be an insect or a plant, and they would put it between two pieces of glass with some water between them, and then they would put it under the microscope to have a look at the the molecular construction of whatever they're looking at. But the interesting thing that I think about it is the fact that it's totally powered by the sun. Like if it was a rainy day, you can't use it. If it's a cloudy day, you can't use it. So it's a very interesting, it's a beautiful thing. It's beautifully made. It's a very good reproduction. It's missing 2 lenses where you can see the 2 holes in the case. So those lenses would be the different power of how small you want to see the items. But Granny, I hate to break your heart, love, but I think it's a reproduction. It's an early reproduction, but I'd say it's from the 1970s, maybe earlier, but it's a reproduction.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't know anything about it. And I thought, well, the only one person in the world that would know anything about this is Adam, and I will find out.
Well, I tell you what, it's on Facebook now, Luke Boner, that radio guy. If you're interested in this sort of thing, have a close look at it. Zoom in on the microscope to see what I did there.
Oh, clever.
And see if you know what it is. But, Adam, you don't think it's...
I don't think it's 1860, no.
It looks old.
Yeah.
It looks pretty authentic.
The box is not 1860, so that's the give up. I mean, with the brass pieces, it's very easy to reproduce and very easy, like you can't age brass very well, but the box that it's, the fitted box that it's in is no way that's 1860. So that's my take. I mean, prove me wrong. Everyone have a look. Get on Facebook, have a look. And if you can prove me wrong, I've been proved wrong many times before. But yeah, have a look. The box is not that old.
And if anybody wants it, let me know. They can have it.
No, well, then someone will look at it and it could be worth $1,000 and they'll tell you...
They're worth a couple. It's probably worth maybe $300.
No, hang on to it, Granny Sue.
What am I going to do with it?
It could be worth $300. That's 2 months' groceries for you.
Yeah, but hang on. Now that I'm sort of having to pack up and make my life a lot shorter or smaller, it's not something that I'm going to carry around with me anyway.
It'd make a good doorstop, Adam, if it's brass.
Yeah, it would. It would make a great doorstop. Be nice and heavy. Look, it's just ornamental. Just put it on the mantelpiece. Everyone will think you're a scientist.
Yeah, it's a talking point.
That's right.
It's a talking point. Anyway, there you are. If you've got something you'd like Adam McDonald, the expert on memorabilia, to evaluate, send us in your photos. Luke Boner, that radio guy, on Facebook, or send them in to our email and Adam will have a look. I've got something here that's a bit strange. We'll bring in the millennial here, otherwise known as the glitch bitch. Talk about...
Well,
Kelsey, what is this story? Oh, because if anything, I'll tell you why she's called that, Granny Sue, just to calm you down. If something goes wrong with our equipment, I'm an idiot. And if it goes wrong her way, it's just a glitch. So that's how it works. But anyway, Kelsey, what's this about Hamish and Andy?
Well, they recently were talking on their podcast about whether or not you're a pile household or not.
What does that mean?
Listen to the clip and you'll find out.
One thing always strikes me about your house that I have a lot of at my house and you don't have at your house is piles.
Of what?
Piles of things.
Stuff.
Like,
yeah, I resonate.
I think Andy doesn't even know what I'm talking about. He just is blankly looking at me.
What do you mean?
Like, mine's near the fruit bowl.
Yeah.
The fruit bowl pile.
What do you mean? But what's in there?
Everyone knows what's in the fruit bowl pile.
Now, I know that Mum and Luke are fruit bowl pile people through and through. I always tell my friends that Mum and Luke's house is like, it's like a homely op shop.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's pretty fair. We've got 2 fruit bowls, one on the kitchen counter, on the timber counter that Nikki got for a bargain, $1,000 when we were doing up the kitchen. I still can't believe it. And it's a big fruit bowl and it has chocolates in it. Now, just bear with me, Granny Sue and Adam. So we used to have these 2 young children that lived next door and they used to come up and say to Nikki, can we have a chocolate? In fact, when they were very, very young, they liked Freddo Frogs, but they didn't know they were Freddo Frogs, so they used to call them dinosaur chocolates. Can we have a dinosaur chocolate? So now I get the family favourites. The kids have just gone. They've moved. Their parents have they live next door to us, so there's no surprise there. But they've gone, and so you would think that the chocolate bowl would just stay full. It's going, and I don't eat it. Just an observation. But then over on the little table under the telly, there's another fruit bowl, and it has car keys, wallets, dog leads, hair ties. So there's 2 fruit bowls, both with crap in them. Adam, are you a fruit bowl or a pantry person or a pile person?
I'm a pile person. I've got 2 piles. In my house, because it's the bachelor pad, I've got like a pub table facing the television with bar stools, and my couch runs along the front of it. So on the corner of the pub table, there's 1 pile. That's the table pile. Then on the corner of the bench, there's another pile. On the pub table pile, there's keys, wallets, writing pad, maybe a couple of tape measures. Fuck knows why I've got tape measures there, but I think there's 2. And on the other one is like glasses cases, glasses cleaner, spare keys, stuff like that. But yep, definitely a pile person, and that's my 2.
Granny Sue.
I don't have a fruit bowl. I don't have a pile. I don't have anything. Everything is put away in cupboards.
Label?
Don't have it. No, just put in the cupboards. I mean, my keys and everything are, because of where I live, they're in my wardrobe in my bedroom beside my cut-off pool cue. Everything else is put away in the cupboards.
Well, I've got to tell you this. Nikki actually does know where everything is, and it's organised chaos. On the kitchen, you know where the knives and forks go in that top drawer? Underneath that is where the larger cooking utensils go, wooden spoons, spatulas. You with me so far? Third drawer is dedicated almost entirely to batteries, and she has every size. That's called the battery drawer. Now, opposite, there's more drawers. Top drawer, receipts, bills to be paid, that sort of stuff. Second drawer, leftover cables, chargers, leads, all that sort of stuff. And she knows exactly, and tape measures. Above the fridge, you know the cupboard that's up high above the fridge? There's a big plastic box with medicines in it, Band-Aids, Disprin, that sort of stuff, Panadol, deep heat, all that stuff. Next to that, paper towels, paper plates and napkins. And everything has its place. And she knows exactly where everything is.
No, Mum's a borderline hoarder for sure.
Do you hoard, Adam? I bet you do.
Oh, I used to, but now I live on the 4th floor apartment with no lift. It's all stairs, so not anymore. When I moved out of Sydney, I had a 3-bedroom house and a 2-car garage that you couldn't fit another matchbox car in. I was a hoarder back then. Well, there's a difference between a hoarder and a collector. A hoarder just keeps shit, rubbish, junk. I was a collector where I would drag quality items home every day of the week. So there is a difference. But I made a decision when I moved down to Queanbeyan that I wanted a top floor apartment with stairs, so I would not be able to drag stuff back.
So, did you have a huge garage sale?
I just threw it all back through auction. Everything I bought from auction, I just put it back in. Me and Wonderboy went through this stage where we would go around to all the auction houses and buy all the safes that were up for sale that were locked with no key.
I remember you opened one live on air.
Yeah, and then we dragged them home, and it was like a father-son science experiment. How can we break into this safe without causing a fire or burning what's in it? And, it was good times. So when I moved out, I think there was 7 in there.
Did you ever experiment with the idea of using explosives? Because your son would have loved that.
He would have loved it, and that's why we did not. We had angle grinders and cold chisels.
Oh, their greatest hits, probably. I would have had a go. At explosives, taken it out to a paddock somewhere. Where do you find explosives? Granny Sue, this sounds a bit like you. Where do you find explosives?
I don't know. I've never thought about it.
When you were growing up and you spent a lot of time in the bush, did you ever know anyone that went fishing using dynamite?
No.
Was that a thing? Was that real?
God, anyone around would have hung them from the tallest tree.
Remember that second Paul Hogan movie? What was it?
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee 2, and he's fishing in the Hudson River in New York and he's using a dynamite. Remember that?
Yes.
A lot of Australians used to do that because it stuns the fish and they all float to the top.
Yeah, I know. I know a lot of people that I have heard about a lot of people doing it, but no, I didn't know anybody.
Did they really do it or was it just a thing, Adam?
No, they really did it.
I think it's just a thing. Oh, really?
Yeah, they really did it.
Oh, how did they do it? What was the story?
He just light the thing, and when it's just about ready to explode, you throw it in the water.
Didn't it go out though when it hit the water?
No, because some people, I heard, have lost their hands and stuff because they hang on to it too long.
I heard that back in the day they had like incinerators in your house.
No, the incinerators
they don't
in your
have
backyard,
them anymore
Kelsey.
either.
Let me pull you up there. You had a fireplace, right? I had a wood stove. Granny Sue would have had a wood stove. And you could put things in there. But no, back in our day, because it was my job to burn off, and it was white Besser bricks, Adam and Granny Sue.
Yep, I remember. I had one.
Yeah, and you bought it at Knockin' Kirby's, and everyone had it, was up the back, and you would burn off rubbish. And
ours was a 44-gallon drum with a hole cut in the top.
of course, no, we had the Knockin' Kirby's Besser brick one. It was my job to burn off, and I loved it. Oh, God, did I get those flames going high. I nearly, because it was an overhanging tree, and I nearly had to get the hose. I was in so much shit. But I used to save up during the week and hide the AeroGarden Peebo cans. and my dad would hear it, boom! Luke, sorry, I don't know how that got in there. Oh, man, it was good.
Well, as ratbag military kids or army brats as we were called, we used to make our own explosives.
Is it responsible of us to ask you how you did it, or do we just leave it at that?
Just, I can tell you what they were called. I'm not going to tell you how we actually made them. They were called chlorine bombs, and they were a time. And they were a time. And the day we stopped making them is when I had two mates, Budsy and Weasel. They were brothers, biggest ratbags ever. Yeah. Great guys, but
lots of fun.
Lots of fun, but trouble. We made one day, and Budsy, it wasn't going off, so Budsy runs over and goes, "I'll go and pick it up and shake it." So he goes and picks it up and shakes it, and it goes off in his face. Yeah. So instantly, his whole face is this one massive blister, and all you could see him breathing through his nose through this blister. And so me and Weasel said, "Listen, just wash your face and go and lay down." So he goes and lays down, and his mum gets home a couple of hours later, and she says, "Where's Budsy?" "Oh, he's just having a rest." And he eventually just comes out, and then we just had to confess. And it was a big thing. It made the local paper. There was an awareness campaign that went through the high schools. And needless to say, that's where our explosive life lay.
Where's Budsy and Weasel now?
Budsy's happily
Intensive
married.
care?
He's over. No, Budsy's happily married. I think he's over your way. He's a carpet layer, and I'm not too sure where Weasel is.
Unbelievable. How did you learn to make these bombs? Who taught you?
I can't remember how we learned that, because this is before the internet. So it would have been handed down from one of the older army brats and said, "Look, this is how you do it."
Of course.
Yeah, it was generational. I don't know. Good times.
Granny Sue, did you ever have a friend that got you into trouble, or were you the person that got other people into trouble?
Oh, I had a friend that got me into trouble. Nothing really, really bad. Just, well, we had goats, and we used to tie the kid onto the back of the goat and let them go. And another time a kid annoyed. We lived, where I lived, there was a little creek, and we used to dam it up so that the water was a bit deep. This kid was giving us a lot of grief, so we tied his hands and his feet behind his back and threw him in the water. And then, of course, he nearly drowned because he couldn't get his head up, dumb stuff like that.
You nearly drowned the kid?
Yes.
We shouldn't be laughing.
Well, it was funny at the time, and he's screaming and carrying on. And, of course, we thought it was hilarious until we realised that he probably couldn't reach the bottom, so he drowned, so we had to get him out. But, yeah, it was done some shocking things, I suppose.
The most dangerous mischief you got up to as a kid. Send us your stories and leave a voice message so we can talk to you. I want to hear. Did you actually nearly kill someone or yourself when you were growing up and survived to tell the tale? The worst mischief you've ever got up to. I've got to ask you, both of you, did you get into trouble? Adam, you go first when Budsy blew his head up.
Oh, did we what? I wasn't allowed to see the boys for, I think they split us up for maybe 3 months. You three are not, like, we were like the Three Musketeers. Yeah, well, if Adam's there, Budsy's there, Weasel's there. Yeah, we got split up for a couple of months. We weren't allowed to hang out with each other. Like we used to walk to school together and said, "No, you guys have to walk that way. Adam, you walk that way." Yeah, it was quite a time. We got split up in class because the school knew about it. Like it was big. It was big shit. And especially my old man being military, like he's just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like. He was beside himself, poor bloke.
Thank God your dad was in the military, so you kept moving schools and you were able to
exactly.
You were able to start fresh a few times.
That's exactly right.
Share us your stories and leave us your voice message. Leave us your contact details. We want to talk to you. The worst mischief you've ever got up to. When did you nearly kill yourself? How did you do it? We used to go to the local tip. It's still there, Kim Bricky. And back in those days...
I love that joint. I used to go there all the time.
And back in those days, Granny and Adam, no one had the scavenging rights. You could just go and take whatever you wanted. And my best mate, Teddy Wakeford, his dad, Graham, was a lot of fun. A lay preacher, but he used to buy cars and flip them, and he was just the coolest bloke ever. And we used to go to the tip, and we used to scab stuff. And the things that we used to get were ironing boards, old prams, and those wooden crates that your fruit and veggies used to come in, and we'd make go-karts.
Yeah, right.
Go-karts. And you have an axle on the front where your 2 feet would sit, pram wheels. If you were very lucky, you got a pram that had blow-up tyres, but they were usually the hard rubber tyres, a piece of string to steer it, to hold on to. You'd sit in the crate, and we used to go down this street. It was the steepest street where we lived, Warara Avenue. And I was the first one to go because I was dared to go first. And I realised at the bottom that we hadn't put brakes on. And I had to deliberately turn it into a hedge, and I got scratched. But anyway, we used to make go-karts out of stuff that we'd scavenged from the tip. The tip was wonderful, wasn't it, Granny Sue? Did you ever go to a tip when you were younger and just take stuff?
No, because we lived out bush. But I'll tell you something now. I was sitting here on Sunday and I heard this commotion outside and looked out my door, and there's 2 kids, well, there's 3 kids, one on a push bike and 2 kids behind them, one sitting in milk crates tied onto skateboards, hanging onto a rope being towed by the kid on the push bike.
Yeah, that's good stuff. We used to do that.
That's the way.
No
life
helmets.
should be.
No helmets.
No helmets.
No helmets, no nothing, on the bitumen, flat out. Yeah, it was all good. No, we didn't have a tip. You burnt everything and everything else got buried, I suppose. I don't know. We never had.
Bury it, burn it.
Yeah.
Or in our case, scab it. How good was Kimbricky Tip, which is, as I say, still there? It was great, wasn't it, Adam?
Oh, it was fantastic. The amount of stuff you could pull out of that place was unbelievable. When I was growing up in Melbourne, up in Broadmeadows, there was a tip just the same, and we used to ride our push bikes there all the time and just find the most weird and wonderful shit to drag home. Maybe that's where my my hoarding started, like places like that. I remember once we went there, and there was me and 2 of my mates. And one of my mates, we're out on our BMXs, but one of the mates, his BMX had a flat tyre, so he took his sister's bike. So we're going out to the tip, and it's really muddy, and his sister's bike had a mud guard. So as soon as we get there, he just gets bogged. He can't ride it. And I remember me and mate on the BMX were riding home, and poor old Bradley had to push his sister's bike all the way home because the mud guard was just chock-a-block full of mud, the poor bloke. But, you know, those sort of tips don't exist anymore. It's now you put everything into a concrete pit and it just gets crushed straight away, doesn't it?
I was on Channel 7 Sunrise last week, and we were talking, I forget what we were talking about, how we got onto the subject. Oh, I know. It was a story about putting trackers in your kids' shoes so you can track where your kids are. That's right. Yeah. We got round to and I said that'd be pointless with me because I would have lost it. And I lost my Barter Scouts shoes one day. I'm on my way home from Eleanor Heights Primary School. I'm in primary school because we used to walk home. And we stopped by the creek that had tadpoles in it. And we were collecting tadpoles and trying to put them into our plastic lunch boxes. Anyway, I've gotten home. I'm in trouble because it's now dark and the street lights are on, and I should have been home at 4 o'clock. And I've left my shoes behind. Barter Scouts with the compass in the heel and the animal footprints on the sole.
Yep.
You with me?
Yep.
My parents got a torch out and made me walk all the way back, and I was not to come home without my shoes. I'm deadly serious. And they were horrified on Sunrise. They said, that'd be child abuse today. I said, well, guess what? It never happened again.
Exactly right. Exactly
right. Are we too lenient on kids these days? Because
yes, that's why we've got the generation we've got. There's no, you know, like you were saying before, you've got a milk crate tied to a skateboard getting towed behind a BMX. Kids don't do that anymore. They don't, you know, you scrape your knee, you scrape your elbow. Nothing beats nothing's a life lesson like a bit of fucking gravel rash. Do you know what I mean? Kids don't get that. They don't do that sort of stuff anymore. It's crazy. And that's why we are where we are and we have the generation we have.
Well, my parents made me walk in the dark with a torch, and I wasn't to come home without my Barter Scouts.
Yeah.
And I came back with them, and I never did it again.
That's consequences. That's what happens. You know you're not going to do it again, and so you don't do it again. But kids these days don't have that. They don't have that rules. They can do what they damn well please, and they are.
That's right. I think I've told this story before. We were out at my uncle's farm and my sister and I are walking along this dry creek bed. And my father said, I wouldn't walk down there if I were you guys because you won't be able to get out. And we said, yeah, whatever. And we get to the end and it's like maybe a 2 metre, like we're only little, like a 2 metre climb up to get out of this creek bed. And I said, oh, we're going to go back. And he said, no, you guys have got to climb out. And my sister is beside herself. She's bawling her eyes out. But he stood there and made us climb out. We were both shitting ourselves. And and he just said, that's a lesson. I told you not to do it. You did it anyway. So now you have to get yourself out of it. And it was a massive lesson. I remember it like it was yesterday. Like my sister's in tears and we're trying to climb up. It took us 3 or 4 goes to get out of there. But we got out and it was a massive lesson to me. Like, listen to your father, he knows best.
I so relate to what you're saying, but when I mentioned on Channel 7 that I was made to walk in the dark with a torch and not come home without my shoes, the panel was horrified. Nat Barr said, she said, gee, today that'd be child abuse. And I said, well, I didn't do it again. So are we too soft? And the panel here is saying unanimously yes.
I mean, I'm not too soft. I'm not too soft on the boy. He's learned some valuable life lessons because I said if you get yourself into that shit, you got to get yourself out of it. But the relationship I've got with Wonder Boy is if you've got yourself into shit, be honest with me, be open with me, and I can help you get out of it. As soon as you start hiding stuff and, no, never happened, and you try and brush it over, that's when the shit hits the fan. So if anything goes pear-shaped, Dad, this is what I've done. I fucked up. I need to get out of it, and I can help you. If you don't tell me, you're on your own.
Do you know what? I remember, must have been Christmas, and it's when we were all living here in this house, and Kelsey, the glitch bitch, the millennial, told my daughter Holly what she was getting for Christmas. And Holly comes up and says, I know what you got me for Christmas. And we said, what? She said, you got me a bobbit because we got Kelsey one too. Do you remember that? It was a round thing with lights in it. And you had to, it played a rhythm and you had to copy it. Nikki took Kelsey's bobbit off her and she said, you're not getting one now. Oh, jeez.
Let me just say, Holly bullied that out of me. She bullied it out of me. She was like harassing me. She was like on my back constantly until I told her. And then I was the one that got in trouble. And I'm like, I'm being abused over this.
No, you shouldn't have told her.
When someone's throwing TV remotes at you because you know the Christmas present, then I'm pretty sure you're going to tell them.
Kelsey. Anyway, Nikki took Kelsey's present off her and said, I remember the time Kelsey was carrying on like a pork chop. And Nikki said, you say that one more time, keep carrying on, and you're not going to the birthday party on Saturday. Kelsey kept going. Nikki rang up the parents and said, I'm sorry, Kelsey's not coming to the party on Saturday. She's learning a lesson. By God, it was in this room. She was lying on the floor here like a dying fly. You know how they lie on their back and do this? And she's kicking the door and the wall, and Nikki stood by her guns, and Kelsey was barred from going to this birthday party.
Yes, lesson learned.
Because Nikki said, you do it one more time, you're not going to the party. And she didn't go to the party. You remember that?
I remember that very clearly.
Are you scarred for life?
Yes. And the most traumatic thing about it was that I had like personally crafted this person's birthday present. Like I had gone to a lot of effort. I had saved up all of my birthday money, all of like my pocket money, and was really excited to give her this present. And I did not get the opportunity to do so.
Because your mum gave you 3 chances, you overstepped, and I tell you, this is Nikki, if she issues a threat, she will carry through with it. Granny Sue, did Nikki do the right thing?
Yes, she did. And
Absolutely.
I would probably be in jail with some of the things I did to my children, but they all respect me now and love me to death. So it's all good.
All right, Granny Sue, what did you do to your children?
Yeah.
Give us a great example.
They had this big party organised, and I came home from work, and before I went to work, I told them that I want the house clean and the lawn mowed. They're sort of 10 and 20, 10 and 15 sort of. And when I came home, nothing had been done. They're laying on the couch, watching TV, not doing anything, hadn't done a thing. And I said, okay, the party's off. And they said, no, you can't. I said, just watch me. And I rang everybody that was supposed to be coming to the party and told them they weren't coming. Well, my children cracked the proper sad and said they'd hate me and wouldn't talk to me ever again. But they got over it, and they learnt that Mum will say what she's going to do, and
Yep.
that's just the way it is.
If you say you're going to do something and don't do it, you are stuffed. Adam, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's just a different style of parenting these days, isn't it? You know, like people are just, oh, it's okay, little Johnny, he's okay. I'll help you out.
Unbelievable.
They don't know no. They've never been told no.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and for just participating, you get a gold star.
Yeah.
Let's not
Excuse
get-
me, can I just say, it is your generation that brought in that rule. The kids didn't make that rule. It was your generation
No,
that
not mine.
brought in that
It
rule.
didn't happen when
Why
I was
are you
at school.
blaming the kids?
Nah, you heard my chat with my old sportsmaster, Fred Yakic. Didn't happen when I was growing up. If you got a prize, you earned it. You didn't get a prize for having a crack. You got a prize if you came first, second, or third. You come fourth, sorry, train harder.
You're the first loser.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Where did this whole participation award come from? It was the parents that made that,
Yeah.
not the kids.
Not us.
No, it wasn't us.
Wasn't us. No
And
way.
it wasn't. It's not my children either. They're not doing it to their kids either.
No,
If they want something, they have to earn it.
It's the parents 20 years younger than me and Nick. Okay? Not us. Got a question for you, Granny Sue, because I don't know what happens in far north Queensland. But there's a big drama over what you call a potato cake or a potato scallop. Did you ever eat them, at the fish shop?
Because I lived out bush, mate. We didn't have takeaway food. As far as I'm concerned, they're potato scallop.
There was an item spotted at one of the country's largest supermarket chains this week, and it's reignited one of the biggest food debates to hit Australia, Adam. Since the beginning of time, there have been debates on what to call certain food items, such as the palmy or the parma, right?
Yeah.
One of the other rigorous debates is what to call a battered and deep fried piece of potato that you'd typically find at the fish and chip shop. Some people call them potato cakes. I've always called them potato scallops. Well, Aldi have got every name covered. So, Kelsey, what's Aldi done? It's brilliant.
Well, they've called them mini potato cakes /scallops /fritters.
Yeah, well, the scallops should have come before the
Fritters.
potato cakes.
No one calls them fritters.
Who calls it? No one calls them fritters.
What you call them comes down to where you're from. In Melbourne, they're potato cakes. I think because I've lived in a lot of states. In Melbourne and I think in Tassie, they're potato cakes. But up in Sydney, they're potato scallops. So it all comes down to locality.
What are they in South Australia?
They're called potato fritters.
Told you.
So they're called potato fritters in South Australia, potato cakes in Victoria. They're called potato scallops in New South Wales and Queensland. Is that correct?
Yep.
That's right.
Which got me onto something else. So I was looking up strange names for strange foods, and up popped this story about a particular brand of Australian lollies. And I wanted to run this past you. Granny Sue and Adam, do you remember the fake lolly cigarette called Fags?
Fags, yes. I remember them as a kid, yes.
They changed the name to Fads, F-A-D-S, but they were originally called Fags. So I thought, I remember them. They were white. They looked like a cigarette and they had a pink filter.
And a red tip. They
And
had
a
a
red
red
tip,
tip
so it
as
looked
well.
like it was a light.
Yeah, that's right.
And apparently they were produced formally in 1943, right through onto the 1990s. The product was renamed Fads amid concerns of it promoting smoking to children. But then I read a little bit further, and there was an argument back in the day that these pretend cigarettes called Fags, later Fads, were to help people get off cigarettes. But they were definitely marketed at children. You bought them at the milk bar. Yes. So they encouraged, don't you reckon, did they encourage people to smoke or did they encourage existing smokers to give up? Granny Sue.
Neither. They were lollies. And yes, every time we went to town, that was one of the first things we were allowed to buy because they were cheap and they were, quite yummy, I thought, as a child. No way. And it certainly didn't make me smoke. I've never smoked in my life. Got hot at times, but never smoked.
Wasn't cheer cheese called something else?
Ah, yes. It was founded, Adam, by the cheesemaker, Edward William Coon. In 1926, American entrepreneur and cheesemaker Edward William Coon of Philadelphia patented a method for fast maturation of cheese via high temperature and humidity. His method explicitly excluded pasteurization, which kills the bacteria and therefore allows the cheese to last for much longer when stored. His name was Edward William Coon, and so it was called Coon's cheese. It wasn't racist at all.
No, it had nothing to do with race.
Not at all. This day and age, you can't use those sort of words because everyone is a bit woke.
Precious. What did they say about the cap that Daniel Boone wore? It was a coonskin cap. Because it was a raccoon.
It was a coonskin cap, yes. But that's just short for raccoon.
And my son has a cat called a Maine Coon.
What does that mean? What sort of a name is that?
It's a cat. It's the largest domestic cat in the world. It's called a Maine Coon. Look it up. M-A-I. You got a computer there. M-A-I-N-E. Have a look at that. What's the name of Jacob's cat again?
Butter.
Yeah, it's a Portuguese for butter because the dog's called Bread and the cat's called Butter.
Sounds like my kids. We had 2 goldfish and a dog. So the dog was called Bandit, the cat was called Smokey, and the 2 goldfish were called And The.
Very good.
Very good.
I had a mate who had a goat, and this is not a word of a lie, its name was Acton.
Acton the goat, yes, very clever.
The goat's name was Acton. And I know that you've both got to go soon, so I wanted your opinions on this. You can put your hand up to tell me who wants to go first. It's a story of a Sydney man who was filmed deliberately running over and killing kangaroos. Leo Boland, 21 of Balgala Heights, was behind the wheel. Listen to this, you two. It was his mum's ute. He was behind the wheel of his mum's ute when it struck the animals on a dirt road near Lithgow. The footage was filmed by his male passenger and then, yes, uploaded to Snapchat. The act occurred at night, July 19 last year, 60 k's north of Lithgow at a place called Running Stream. Boland, an apprentice carpenter, pleaded guilty to 1 count of recklessly beating and seriously injuring an animal when he appeared in Manly local court last Thursday. He also entered a guilty plea on a charge of driver not disclose identity of driver passenger. A charge of torturing an animal was withdrawn after negotiations with the police. The court had previously been told that Boland was pleading not guilty to all charges. Police began investigations in September last year after vision of a Holden, Colorado ute deliberately swerving to hit the kangaroos. It was located after the passenger's phone was seized. On October 4 last year, Boland declined to reveal the identity of the driver to police, but on October 9, the passenger who filmed the incident confirmed that it was indeed Boland who was driving, according to police agreed set of facts. In the agreed facts, police stated that at 6:34 p.m, Boland deliberately ran down 2 kangaroos. He drives at a speed, swerves to hit the animals as they attempt to escape. 2 minutes later, he drives past another kangaroo, which appears to be dead. The ute is registered to Boland's mother. She was in court supporting him and was not accused of any wrongdoing. Magistrate Williamson adjourned the matter for sentence. Later this year in Manly Court, he ordered a pre-sentence report be prepared. Who wants to go first on this?
Granny.
Good Lord. Why would anyone deliberately run down a kangaroo? You have enough trouble trying to miss them, let alone try and run it down. What a stupid idiot. I think he deserves to be put out in the road and have a car come straight at him. That's what I'd do with him. Make him think of a little bit. I don't know. I think that's the most stupid thing I've ever heard.
But, Adam, it's deliberately cruel. And people who are deliberately cruel to animals worry me.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not very nice people.
No, if you saw the footage of him coming out of the courthouse, he's one of these dickheads that he's done this thing, but he comes out with his face covered up. Obviously his partner or someone else with him. But then his mother is trailing behind. You don't understand, and yelling at the media like he's just one of these mothered dickheads that don't think like she's obviously the mother obviously knows what's happened. It was her car. She's sticking up for him in court. It's just fucking ridiculous. Like, I know kangaroos can be an issue. Like where I live, I hit my first kangaroo the other day, and they say you're not officially a Canberra.
Just the other day.
Yeah, you're not officially a Canberra until you hit a kangaroo. Like on my street, it's next to a golf course, and there's hundreds of them, and they run the street. So whenever I go down that street, I'd go at like 30 k's an hour. So I'm going about 30 k's an hour. One just looks up at the car and then just bounces in front of it. Bounced off the front bonnet, bounced away. It was totally fine. But to deliberately maim and hurt animals is just it's a red flag. Like it's a worrying sign. There should be sirens going off. This dude needs to be watched because it's just not on. That's how all serial killers start. They start with hurting animals. They start that way and then move on to human. He deserves to be watched.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's got parental guidance there.
No,
I mean, yes, the mother's just
the nitwit of the mother. Yeah, the nitwit of the mother walking behind him.
It's her car. And you don't understand what? Your son deliberately swerves at speed to hit and maim and kill an animal.
He's never been told no. He can do what he damn well pleases. There's no consequences. And again, he's got away with it again.
Well, as I say, sentencing in October. Let's keep an eye on this, folks, and let's see what happens. Adam, what have you got coming up?
I've got online at the moment with our sister company Car Bids. It's finishing tonight. I have a 1986 Ferrari F12A Tipo Coupe. It's in silver. It's a Hong Kong import. A big 4.9 litre Ferrari. So have a look at that. It's a lovely looking car. The shape of this Ferrari absolutely epitomises the 1980s. It's got sharp angles. It's a beautiful car. It's in very good condition. So have a look at that. Also, just keep your eye, folks. You got to keep your eyes on my website, EVA, EHVA, Evans Hastings Values and Auctioneers. That's my pet project. If you want to see what I do and how I sell things, get on there. That's ehva.com.au. Also with the socials, EHVA on Instas and Facebook. Have a good look at that. You'll see exactly what we're doing down here.
Good to catch up with you again, Vice Captain. Always a bit of fun, just a bit of a dribble, and we'll catch up again soon. Granny Sue,
Next
good
week.
to talk to you.
See you, Adam.
See you, Granny. Love you.
Yeah, you too.
Well, thank you so much for listening. We've got more up our sleeve, a couple of killer episodes just around the corner. This has been another Bonafide podcast with me, Luke Boner, where we don't tell you what to think. We just like to give you something to think about. And my thought for the day, try your hardest not to argue with an idiot. They'll just wear you down and then beat you with experience. Okay, now listen, before you go, a quick reminder, winter doesn't have to walk all over you. Get on the front foot. Nature Bee's Power Pollen. It is your winter defense kit. More energy, immune support, nutrients, antioxidants, and it's all in one beautiful little golden capsule. And you don't need to swallow the capsules whole either. I mean, you can just sprinkle it on your breakfast, on your porridge, in your smoothies, in your juice. Power Pollen's sweet, nutty taste is both a flavour and an energy boost. And it's proof that it's just Mother Nature. You can grab a 6-month supply for $160, and they're throwing in an extra month and 2 bars of their famous pollen and honey soap for free. Comes with a money-back guarantee, otherwise I wouldn't endorse it, and I've been taking it since the year 2000. Click the link in the description and order yours today and say goodbye to winter blues. Nature Bee, helping you stay on top of winter and not under it. And a big thanks to Nature Bee for powering up another Bonafide episode.